Oh, all right. Good morning and welcome to Thursdays. We have just a few technical difficulties as we just try to work through a couple of things here this morning. Today should have been Dads with Coffee, but because of an exposure in my house, we are having to not do that today. So we're going to go get tested today and just see what happens. So Corona hits everybody. It's the way it is. I read something the other day that said the CDC actually said that if you live in Tarrant County, you've already been exposed to some degree or another. But anyway, we'll go get tested today and see what happens. It's not me, but it is somebody in my house. So, we're just going to see what happens. But here's the deal. And I was thinking about this as I was driving in today. Here's the deal. If it's positive or it's negative, in some ways it doesn't matter. Our whole country, and this is the unfiltered portion of the show today. We had a storming of the Capitol yesterday. And it may have only been a few of the many thousands that were there. But here's the thing, it happened. And everybody's in an uproar today. We had protests in the summer that some were upset about and others weren't. And now we've got this happening yesterday, and it's like it's flip-flop. Others are upset and some are not. And we are just in a complete mess as a country. Now, I've been reading a lot of posts and hearing what a lot of people are trying to say and what they are saying. And here's what I'm finding out. We're looking to the wrong things that bring peace. We are putting all of our eggs in the wrong baskets. I think we're doing this as a country. Oh, well, people are frustrated and upset. We used to be a Christian nation, and when you begin to involve that conversation, when you get into that conversation, we begin to find out what people think a Christian nation is all about. A Christian nation to some, this isn't a blanket statement, this isn't everybody, but a Christian nation to some is if a particular group of people are in charge of our country. In essence, if that's the case for you, then you put your hope in politics and you're not putting your hope in Jesus. Oh, well, if so-and-so is in the White House, then, that's going to take us back to no, it's not. If the individual Christian is not living a Christ-like life, it matters not who sits in the chair. It doesn't matter who sits in Congress. It doesn't matter if it's a Republican Congress or a Democrat Congress. It doesn't matter who the Speaker of the House is. It doesn't matter who the Senate Majority Leader or Minority Leader is. It doesn't matter who the Whip Leader is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because being a Christian nation, for one thing, that's a moniker that we've put a lot of stock in that I don't think matters as much as people think it does. Because we think that, okay, well, where's the Judeo-Christian value system? Well, you got to look in your own heart. Are you living by a Judeo-Christian value system? Is your family living by that value system? Are you raising up children and grandchildren to live in that value system? The reason we're in the mess we're in today is because that didn't happen for the last 50 years. We got way too obsessed with our own with ourselves. We got way too obsessed with ourselves. What do I want? When do I want it? I want it now. And this has created an entire mess that now we're having to live in. See, we've got to move beyond thinking that politics is going to solve our problems, because it's not. Politics doesn't solve our problem. Some think that, well, if we, that we will find peace, we'll come back to unity if we can just fix the economy. No. You can be rich, you can be poor. How does that change whether you live for Jesus? See, this is the problem. The problem is not everybody else. The problem is right here in each of us. Now, I'm not trying to make it a humanistic argument. What I'm trying to say is this: are you, as a follower of Christ, following Christ? Or are you following politics? Are you following groupthink? Are you following these other things? Because if we're actually living for Christ, and this has been the issue now for my entire life, we don't. We talk about Christ. Church is the social institution of my generation. It's a cultural norm for the generation before me. That church is something you do, it's not something you are. And the Bible is just the opposite. To the Bible, to God, church is who you are, not what you do. But we have flipped the script, and the devil's been laughing for 2 generations. When we created church to be something you do instead of being, man, he's laughing all the way to the bank, laughing at how we have just fallen by the wayside. The reason we are in the mess we're in is not because of anything else than professing Christians not professing Christ. This is the issue. It's the short and sweet version of it. Our hope is not in who sits in the chair. Our hope, I'm sorry, Senator Cruz, I'm going to call you out on this one. It's not about whether you like the Electoral College or not. It is not about that. I'm going to call these people out. It doesn't matter. You need to sit down and be quiet and move on. We all need to follow Jesus, not follow politics. Just let that sit a minute. My whole life, I've been a Republican, and I don't put that out there. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I am politically. What matters is who I am spiritually. And we have dropped the ball when it comes to that. We put our hope in politics. We put our hope in power. We put our hope in economy. We put our hope in all of these things that are not going to give you the answers that you're seeking. So it doesn't matter. The reason we had protests yesterday is because we're not following Jesus. The reason we had protests last summer is because we're not following Jesus the way we're supposed to. As Christians who by profession of it, make up a lot of people in our country, it's amazing how far away from Christ we really are. So it really begs the question, doesn't it? How many people are just made Christianity the cultural, social, acceptable norm in the generation that I live in and the one that's older than me? Come on, boomers. Come on, Gen Xers. That's me. If we'd really live for Christ, if we'd love like Christ, if we would live like Christ, if we would be in unity with Christ as he prayed for in John 15, we wouldn't be in this mess. But because we don't do it that way, now we've got a mess that we'd like to kick down the road and blame on somebody else, but we've got nobody else to blame but ourselves. We didn't live for Jesus. So here's the deal. If we want to see change in our country, if we want to see lasting change, it starts right here inside of each of our hearts. We have to personally start asking ourselves, am I living for Jesus? Or am I saying, well, I hope that this changes so I can live for Jesus? It doesn't matter about the politics. It doesn't matter about that. You can live for Jesus regardless. The first century church sure did. They were being put in pots of boiling water and put on crosses lining the streets. They were being blamed for burning Rome, and yet they still lived for Jesus. Because you know what? It doesn't matter how you vote. It matters who you follow. Some people want to say that, oh, well, we've just got to get prayer back into our country. Absolutely. We need to pray. We need to pray. And I posted yesterday, would you join me in following and praying for our country? But I'm not praying for a particular political party. And I'm not praying for a particular economic structure. I'm not praying for the Dow Jones and to be a certain situation. I'm not praying for that. What I'm praying for is that Christians would actually be Christians, that we would actually follow Jesus. Let's do that. So the prayer that we have is not about politics. We need to be having more of a Daniel style of prayer. Oh God, our nation has sinned. We've sinned as a people. Now realize Daniel was looking at this, that God related to Israel on the national level. Jeremiah had already prophesied that that's going to change and going to move to a personal level. So God is not looking to America as a nation. He's looking to you, Christian, to follow him. That's why Jesus didn't come and say to the nation, hey, Israel, hey, follow me. No, he stood on the seashore and he looked at Peter and Andrew and said, come, follow me. He walked down the seashore. He looked at James, follow me. Those were individual calls. He walked through the cityscape and he stopped at a tax collector's booth and he looked Matthew right in the eye and he said, follow me. Now, to the nation, he stood up in the synagogue and said, you've been looking, it's me. But then he got down off the podium and he walked among the people and he said, do you believe? See, it's not about a nation. It's not about America being the standard. We fell short of that years ago. I'm more concerned with you, Christian. Stop doing church and start being the church. Stop talking about, well, I can do it when. Oh, it'd be nice if we could go back. We can't go back. You can't change yesterday, but you can start today to make it different tomorrow. Let's do that. And it begins with a personal decision to follow Jesus. Oh, I gave my heart to Jesus. I'm just mad about the politics. Well, what's it doing? Is it really changing anything? Follow Jesus. Lead somebody else to follow Jesus. Pray for our country. God, we have sinned. Would you please forgive us? Would you please give us the grace and the mercy to allow us a little more time? You see, when I read the Bible, things don't get better until Jesus comes back. Things get worse. You're like, I don't want to hear that. I just want the Pollyanna Christianity. Well, welcome to the 21st century, and it ain't Pollyanna anymore. It's not. Things get worse. Read the scriptures. Things get worse. I mean, read Revelation. Oh my goodness, things get worse. It's not going to get better and better and better. It's going to get worse. The question really is this: are you going to follow Jesus? There's only hope when you follow Jesus. That's the only hope. Hope is not in politics, and hope is not in economy, and hope is not in everything going right, and hope is not being employed, and hope is not, well, when I get my health fixed. Hope, that's not where hope lies. Hope lies in Jesus Christ. And that begins with a personal decision. It begins with prayer. It begins with reading the scriptures and asking yourself, God, speak to me today. God, show me who I can influence and impact today for Christ. It's not about being a Christian nation. It's just about you being a Christian. So let's do that. As we approach the weekend, let's do that. Let's set our anger aside at the feet of God and let's ask him to give us peaceful hearts, peaceful minds, love that we can overflow from us to others, and put this thing of love into motion and action. Love extends grace. Love brings hope. Love shows mercy. Love, the kind of love that God showed us, as we show that to others in real time, that's what changes lives. That's what changes trajectories. That's what changes people, and people can change a nation. So let's do that. You guys have a great weekend. I pray that you'll find your church home and attend there, whether that's online or in person. Find your spot, be the church with the church, so that everyone else can see the love of Jesus in you. You guys have a great day.